a divine feminine, which can involve a self-empowered woman. And I am a 5D mystic, let's remember. So no Elsa journey. There's an inner child that lives and breathes. That's why I overflow with humanity. And divinity descends. Thank you, said Guru. And thank you, Daniel Siegel, because what this means is I have integration of the brain and I use my prefrontal cortex. I'm in the inner adult of me, the present. Thank you, Patrick Tiahan. As he likes to remind us, Patrick Tiahan, he's a therapist for childhood trauma survivors. And as he shares, the inner child is the expert on the past, the inner adult is the expert on the present. And when you have had a child centric environment, you have the ninth chakra. Oh, you better bet those new codes. See, 5D mystics, divine feminines, empowered women. We don't get lost on Elsa's journey. The ones who are 4D, they're lost on Elsa's journey, thinking of themselves as superheroes, saviors, with supervillains out there, and those are all unfinished business. And the fourth step to recovery of trauma actually seems to be that people want bystanders to take their side. So when I look out there on the Elsa Journeyland of YouTube and anywhere social media is social for a reason, at least some of us, we're doing social chit chat. So personal development and you emotionally wanting to be your grown up version is a social time event because it's not hard. The how to's are for those who go to good therapy, not just get information online and then with the mantles of mental health prance around as they have not done the fourth step of noticing their maladaptive child emotional behavior and that they're looking like Braveheart standing around in their distress threat nervous system, which is also safety behavior, which are Pinocchios with ears and tails or Peter Pans and Wendy's. So these are the stories that a 5D mystic divine feminine uses. And there you go. So today we have some beautiful integration of topics. So integrated brain, my left, my verbal, and my right are my friends because I have integration of the brain. And the right mode, thank you, Daniel, is the nonverbal. And that's why I get to deal with uncertainty, unwanted, and unexpected very easily, might I add, because besides being a mystic, I had already dealt, thank you, Jesus, God, and Marcus Aurelius, with the fact that when you die, you won't know you're going to die. So that was taken care of a long time ago, and I'm 44, so not really that long ago, but long enough to where my right mode, although it's the non-linguistic, right, and it represents the world in my own way. It's a 3-year-old. That's why we have a blank canvas. We definitely know how to do a lot of different things. I am going to share what I was trying to get to in the first place, which is we know how to use our imagination in an effort to create reality, but we also know what quantitative data means. Okay, so empowered women who are divine feminines, who are 5D mystics in the Enlightenment Soul Age groups, because we don't have laundry with our emotional sphere. So everything that comes up, we're going to say, hey, let's talk. Because see, when I'm present, which is always, thank you, Daniel, again, I'm curious, open, accepting, and loving. And presence means I'm compassionate because my physiological state is open heart. Thank you, Jesus. And forgiveness. It's not about somebody needing to say they're sorry. That almost feels like you're holding something over somebody's, head, which is where the whole betrayal and trauma. No, I learned about betrayal. I put quotes because I just learned cowardice behavior is I'm not going to take ownership for what I did. I'm not going to talk about the ego self that I have. And then I learned about attachment trauma. And thank you again, Patrick Tiahan. As he shares, those who have childhood trauma, they stay in relationships that don't work out as they continue the codependent wheel. Thank you, Terry Real, for the lovely relationship grid on boundaryless people. And I see women doing the manipulative, desperate. I also see them doing the control and anger. When the men do it, they do it differently, but they still can be in that love dependent. I have met some of the love avoidant. So when they wall off, it's great and dandy because that way we don't have to actually do anything because they won't hear us anyways. But really what it is if you don't go to good therapy or get that ownership of your emotional plane, you're going to project the teenager attitude, which is why it's a Cusco and a squirrel, and it doesn't matter what gender or non-gender. I'm going to know as a divine feminine, you don't know your ninth chakra, you haven't upgraded at all, and that's where the Elsa journey people are at. So on that note, spirituality is when you live with meaning and connection beyond the solo self. Thank you again, Daniel Siegel, for this translation, this definition that was given to him by a conference he went to. And he's a sciences person. Oh, yes, and spirituality and sciences, they come together. Sciences dispels the myths, the fake shit, that, the stories from the ancient times have. For example, no demon possesses a person. Thank you, Patrick McNamara, neuroscientist, explains what happens nightmare after nightmare after nightmare during the religious self and the decentralization of the self and stuff like that. And as a mystic, I have plenty of dreams that I can say did not destabilize me, but that's because I'm grounded in Maria's body. See, there's a 3-year-old right here. So I didn't get lost in Elsa's Journeyland because I didn't need to find myself, which reminds me of the lovely Sebastian Maniscalco. He is a Sicilian, as he likes to specify, American. I'm a Neapolitan American. How about that? Every time I hear somebody want to specify that they're from the specific place, it's like, okay, I thought we were just all partly Italians, us, that are bicultural and stuff like that. Okay, but since let's do this. Reviewing our responsibilities, well, our ability to live beyond solo self. It's very easy when you have an unconditionally loving heart with flaws and imperfections. I thank my twin and my mom. My twin because, see, I already learned how to share every day of the fetus's life, and then once I was born, life. So that's why it's easy for me to know I'm not defective. I can be flawed and imperfect, but I'm perfectly perfect for me. And I know that I'm not being able to be rejected because that's what you get taught as you go home crying and, all those little fights. So here's what happens when you consistently get to fight and then make up and fight. You don't have anything to say about your oversoul, twin flames, none of that. And you live spirituality again and again and again and again. And there you go. So we have not the responsibility, but the ability to be here, like the Dalai Lama says, and to share joy and smile, which when people say, you're just pretending, no, I have an emotional window of welcome. So sorry you chose the path of human suffering, or which one? The human loss? Which one are you doing as the enlightenment? None of it. You just want to be a human suffering love narrative. Okay, well, we're a human love narrative over here. Enlightenment the human way is done where restored embodiment is this. It's an integrated brain. Thank you, academics, because it's the researchers and academics that have given me the power of voice. Not that one. Where are you? The 9th chakra. Because there is a recent new moon. Yes, that's why I'm sharing this and I'm mixing it up. Okay, so the new codes for the 9th chakra. Yeah. And here's what I wanted to get to. So the ones of us who choose love, it's because we do know that we have the ability to always be on from here. Because we have the ability to always be on from here. Because I have, again, an integrated brain, so I don't project anything. I don't have low self-esteem. I don't have insecurity. I don't have social shame because I would have shame. No, I could feel embarrassed. Like if I were walking around naked, but then again, I put a bikini on. So sometimes like, that's really silly. But then again, yeah, no, naked, no. I would feel shy about that one. So I have body shyness. That's not a big deal. I learned how to handle that one as a teenager. I even have scoliosis. So look, my back is crooked. Okay, so when you deal with insecurities by not suppressing it, but by being like, yeah, okay, I got held with equanimity. Thank you, Terry Real. So see, I hold myself like my mother held me, which is, let me explain to you how the world works. You're not always going to get what you want. You're not always going to be happy, but you get to have 2 hands and 2 feet, and you get to walk. And that's your responsibility. And don't go breaking any laws because I'm going to hand you over to the police right there and then, okay? So, decent human being, divine feminine mystic. Let's talk, shall we? So, the actuality of this specific episode is me wanting to share with any person who is in the divine feminine nature, 5D mystic, enlightenment soul age group, maybe, maybe not, but really also those who are serious about mental health and healing trauma. So by being a member of society, you move beyond the solo self. Okay, so people who need to heal trauma, the ones who are on the recovery, the Pinocchios with ears and tails, they don't have the capacity to have the ability. So they get weighed down because they don't know how to be in their prefrontal cortex. In fact, they get to be in their seat of empathy where they have burnout because they don't learn how to take in the information and see what they can do and to know, okay, I did everything I could, direct communication, gave the education material, whatever it is, okay? So this is when you're a member of a herd, Sid Diego Manny, right? Okay, so human herd, we're humans. We overflow with humanity. Divinity descended because we are a consciousness. Here, right here, flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable brain. So again, present, thank you, Daniel, means curious, open, accepting, and loving. That's why Krishna, Leela, and Shiva are here, and Kali. And so when Kali comes up, it's the anger of an inner child saying, wait a minute, your inner child is locked up inside, let them out, because my right mode is what works effectively as a divine feminine always. My left mode is the verbal, which in fact, as shared by lovely Daniel, where are you? The left will at times feel like an imprisonment because it doesn't express those feelings, which is why the somatic therapists, they share with us how we can use our words because it needs to represent what comes up. So I understand this because I'm a feeling person. I navigate from my feelings, and we all do. The thing is, people don't think that until they learn good attachment and trauma information. And then when you share it with them, they say, I find it hard to believe. I didn't make it up from my ass. I got it from experts. But you know what? I'm not even going to say any of that to you because the minute I did, or I would want to, I'm 4'9", and you might decide you want to punch me in the face, which is fair and square because I was with an attitude, right? Okay, so you learn how not to have an attitude. I learned that as a teenager because people apparently don't like the truth. Nobody has an ego. No, no, Maria. Only you do. Only you have this idea. Really? Okay. You know what? I'm not overflowing with emotion right now. I'm going to learn how to alchemize and be in my window of welcome to emotions because, oh, look, who does for themselves does for three. Thank you, Mother. Mind your own business, nurturer. Sure, I will. So once you are an actual divine feminine, here's why. You don't give up on people. You're also not responsible. I'm not your mother. And I'm not your parent, and I'm not anybody, and I'm not the law. And the law will take care of anything you do that the law will take care of. So a divine feminine, an empowered woman, we don't lecture. Like Pacha, we will know how many times that we can come in and try to work with you, and that's because of the inner child. Okay, so a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group who's a functional adult, we're building a community. The divine feminine is always going to know she's a nurturer. And she doesn't turn controlling, angry, or manipulative, or desperate. Those are not the divine feminines that are in 5D land, Christ consciousness. Those are the divine feminines on Elsa's journey who haven't gotten to the end, and they decide at points in time to become squirrels from Cusco land, Cusco and Ursula for the ones who think they have a magical baton. So whenever we see any of that, we don't need to do anything because the mind's eye is where, by the way, for the 4D, they spend a lot of time in fantasy land. They don't know what intuition is. I know what intuition is. And I just saw this really great, it was an interview of sorts on TikTok or something explaining. And I was like, you know what, that's right. So your intuition will feel slightly uncomfortable. But you need to have a good gut, which means you have to have your heart open, which means your head. So if you still have inner child wounds, charges, and things you project, low self-esteem, indirect communication, passive-aggressive, and you don't know that canceling people and silencing them, whether you have gender stereotypes, political, religious, whatever it is, it don't matter. If you're canceling anyone, you're not an emotional grown-up yet. You're not even ready to begin talking to yourself. You're probably in what is the inner critic, outer critic. Let me project. Humans suck. Men suck. Women suck. They suck. So these are all people who didn't do, wait a minute, no, nobody sucks. I just don't like something today. That's all. No, okay, no, the mind is not everything. Yes, it is. It's translating, and here's where when Stephen Porges points out that people who have maladaptive child behavior are in their rude, biologically rude. They're not actually online. Their brainstem has been online for a while now. They're acting from that 0 to 8. They don't really know that their behavior comes from their charges because they don't believe in the new updated, neuroscience and neurobiology. No, they don't know about it maybe, or maybe they do, but they just use words. Like the people who say that they're in favor of supporting mental health, but then they kick to the curb any person because they're going to say, I can't tolerate you. I'm going to tinker myself versus, we can use a mediator, right? We can use a mediator. That's what a grown-up does. Okay, we obviously are having some human suffering issues. Well, let's go to a mediator instead of using words to label each other and pathologize, which really... Nobody should be doing that, but they are all because social media, again, you share information. How do teenagers use it? I saw in my school as an adolescent how they used educational information. It was sex ed. And we also learned about drugs out, and we also learned about the suicide stuff. Yeah, I noticed the day after what happened. It's like they didn't hear the grown-ups. They just did the opposite of what the grown-ups taught us. What? That doesn't make any sense. Why are you being irresponsible? And I was told, well, you're adolescents. So I know adolescents don't know anything of how to use words. Apparently, I knew what the grown ups said. That's because my ears were unplugged, though, because my 3 year old is a whole 3 year old heart. So I didn't have any insecurities that I wouldn't tend to, that I wouldn't know it's okay to be, again, flawed and imperfect. Okay, so with that being said, the path of love and the usage of your brain, your head, to be able to be a nice blade, yeah, that's because in time, when you are sitting in stillness and you're an earthling in your body, instead of being some star baby who thinks you're more special than others, you're going to stay a divine feminine. So you know why we need divine masculines. I know because I know that the divine masculine, they use their head first. So they're calculating and visual, and there's a lot of words I could use, but I won't use all of it. I just intuitively will let you know that, yes, I know exactly that my heart leads the way, and then my head comes on. And so when I get ahead with a heart, I'm like, okay, you're making sense to me. Thank you. You've reframed, I've expanded. Now I can come in and do better than I did yesterday and before. That's the complementary energies of a divine masculine, divine feminine, and even the bad ones. When I say bad ones, what I mean is the non bilaterally integrated divine masculines will be cold hearted. Basically, there's not emotion coming into the mixture as they give you information that is going to still be helpful. A divine feminine will know that, which is why we won't be like, oh my God, you offended me with your mannerisms. You're teasing my mysticism. Now I don't like you anymore. It'll be more like, oh, it's okay. You don't have to believe in woo woo stuff. And, that's actually where I love to be able and talk about woo woo stuff, because the point of being empowered as a woman and a mystic is that you don't need people to believe in it, because you know that in your mind's eye, that imagination is just beautiful. So the truth is that we know you cannot prove this lovely spiritual journey of mysticism. Why are you trying so hard to have somebody believe in, for example, twin flame or flames or soulmates? Okay, or the oversoul. So when you see Elsa Journey mystics, you know who they are, because they're making up all these words about all these people that, by the way, they're all people that you know as humans. And like Pat Chatel's Cusco, you have a heart. Okay, so intuition is what a divine feminine has, which is why we will not be surrendering. When I shouldn't laugh, but yes, I'm a 1 year old. I don't need to attach to anything because I was raised in a securely safe, soothing, and seeing body. This is where I have a whole self, is what it's called. So I know I'm worthy. The minute you treat me like a piece of shit, I know what you just did, and I got taught how to be polite, because that's what my mother taught me, how to share the floor. And I have a twin that I got to also learn how to share the floor and be respectful, because you grow up, you care about each other's feelings. This is where, again, spirituality, living a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. You can only live beyond the solo self if you can stay open-hearted, which, when people think you're a burden to me because I'm not responsible, they are weighed down. Some of us are not. What we know, though, is we're not responsible for your inner child, because we can't physically have you hold a soothed state moment. So I can see you and meet you with my prefrontal cortex, which I'll do. I'll be present. I'll be curious, open, accepting, loving. Thank you, Daniel Siegel. I'll be here in my prefrontal cortex. I'm engaged in a physiological state of compassion in the moment I'm interacting, because I am curious, again, and open, not assuming anything. My left is shutting up. My right is good. You have no weapon. I'm going to start talking. Okay, so now I'm going to be present. I'm attuning to you, and your nervous system and mine are tuning. Now I'm going to be resonating, maybe, because my words are going to come out of my mouth. If my verbal expression doesn't match what you want to hear, or something's going to trigger, then we're not going to resonate, and we're not going to move to trust, which means we're not going to move to intimacy, which means we're not going to move to esteem, which means we're not going to be having an exchange. What I'm going to get to meet, the minute that whatever it is that comes out of my mouth is uncomfortable to you, is your teenager attitude, if you're a Cusco. If, on the other hand, you're a Pacha, and that's what we love, those self-empowered relationships, it's because we got an emotionally and mentally mature, available human being to their self, not to another person. So they'll tell you what they think in your face, which is really nice. And then there's listening. So that's where you're building trust. Okay, so you begin to learn to resonate. In fact, there's a nice way that the tango dance of people who do care about each other begins to happen. And that's a side note. So our relationships expand, Our oversoul expands all of it. Nobody gets cut out. There's no timeline of drama or any of it. Nobody needs to find their purpose or mission in the way that the spiritual bypasser communities of 4D do. Okay, they're all squirrels, Elsas, Peter Pans, Wendy's. It's fun for them. They're busy in their pseudo aliveness and they're busy in their distress response. So the threat safety behavior, they just keep on doing dysfunction, dysfunction, dysregulation. And that's with boundaryless and the other side. So love dependence and love avoidance. They keep on doing unfinished business until they meet a lovely good therapist or do something different. But for the ones of you who are here, and to conclude, when you are a mystic, alchemizing means having people feel safe and welcome inside their own body, first of all. So when I'm not resonating, I will switch it up. That's why we all manipulate words, but I'm switching it up to try and find a way that we can talk and dance. And then we build trust because you start to learn about me, I learn about you, and we become what are secure connections, right? So consistent, contingent communication. I show myself who I am, you show yourself who you are. Our love language stays functional adult, very easy peasy. Divine feminine, intuitively, we've had one, an expansion of energies. This is for those of you who are mystics. Two, you will know who from your oversoul is actively expanding. This is what I'm trying to get to. Tomorrow we have an episode coming out on audio version only, so you can tune into that one. It's called The IHP Show with Maria, 5D Mystic, Relationships, Twin Flame. I forget the whole title, but you can go. It's on Spotify or Amazon Music or you name it, iHeartRadio, a bunch of different different platforms. So it's not going to be on YouTube or TikTok for that matter. But my point is that a divine feminine will know of intuition, and we don't confuse fantasy because there is no confusion. It's not magical wand. Clairs are not magic. There's one, a relational field. The physicists, they call it the hard problem of consciousness. It's not a problem for somebody who experiences it, but it's also not a magical wand of some superhero power. It's when you know people, and when you know those who are expanding, you will also know why. So divine masculines and divine feminines, they always expand together when they're open to each other. But even when they're resisting each other, they're still going to expand. This is why it doesn't make a difference if it's a twin flame or a soulmate. You know that you're going to be nurturing those divine feminines because you have the ability to have an open heart always, not sometimes, because life is not hard, because emotions are not hard for a person who's their inner grown-up. You live in the present. You're the inner adult, your inner child. You tend to your inner child. My 0-1-year-old is tended by me. My 3 to 7, me. Freeze, me. 11, 12, me. 16, me. 14, 15, 16. Those are all those child charge parts. I learned about them from Sue Martin, my lovely teacher from Somatopia. She's a therapist, I believe. I don't remember all these titles. Point is, though, I see a bunch of 16-year-olds out there, and they all have the choice of not enlightenment, the human love way. No, they're not enlightening. In fact, they've chosen the path of pure human suffering, and they just regurgitate the same story over and over and over again. Life is hard. People are hard. Relationships are hard. Oh, we're all fucked up. Nope, nobody's fucked up. Nobody needs fixing. In fact, I had to correct myself. I use that word every now and then, but nobody is broken. Because if you get to good attachment trauma information, you'll understand the whole self. And so again, in our oversoul, there are those who are expanding at this moment in time. You'll intuitively know if you're an expert. Depends, not expert, but I'm going to put it this way. If you're a divine feminine, you already know that you pick up on your oversoul because you're supporting, but you also know that you don't make a difference. You're meaningless because they wake up in the morning and decide what's going to happen here. So you can be there and resonate. Trust needs to come because we're sharing trust, because we're enjoying each other, because we're wanting to support that home to be safe for everyone. So not only here, intimacy, it's about relationships. And that's why the therapists are very adamant about having us understand our mammalian heritage, which is what the Elsa Journey 4D mystics don't understand, since they're talking about people like energy vampires, dark auras, crabs pulling you down in a bucket, being a person who needs to cancel people, cut people out when you're ascending. This doesn't happen. Spirituality awakening, Kundalini awakening don't mean you lose people. That's actually just a way for teenagers to say, oh, here's our group. Look at us. We're over here. Here's the superheroes of our superhero journey. You're a person. What are you doing? Why are you a superhero? Who are you fighting? What's the movie about? Anybody? That's entertaining just right now. So when you know the truth. Oh, I love the truth. The truth is, we're all children. Let's go build a snowman, snow woman, snow day. 5D relationships. It's awesome. Okay, so the herd, Sid, Manny, Diego. Yes, sometimes we can be a little bit, overwhelmed by the people around us, but we learn how to alchemize. You know what I do when people don't know how to do emotional lifting? I'm so sorry. I hope it gets better tomorrow because, you're the master of yourself. Aren't you from some star? I forget. Which one is it? Aren't you alchemizing today? So the people who live in fantasy land, they could be doing something different, but they choose that their fantasy land is true versus try to figure out why they're blue. Look, I just made a little rhyme. I love rhyming. Okay, so serious note. Mystics, self-empowered women, men, theys, 5D relationships. They're really nice. We take healing trauma seriously, but that means the people take it serious. And there's a certain amount of times that you'll know how to present something in general. It's 3 usually, but that's not a fixed number. The energy tells you. My energy tells me who are the people who are actively, from my oversoul, me, Maria, so every one of you is different, are actively in need of that extra support so that they can keep on going through what is a hard something for them. But the hard is not the part that is to be focused on. The part about being able to educate, empower, enlighten. Okay, so that's where I learn about attachment trauma. I share with you all with personal development, self-help. I'm a mystic. I bring you my spiritual and spirituality experiences. I'm an Akashic record reader, tarot card reader. We do channeled guidance, but I bring it all. Human, spiritual, spirituality on purpose, which is why woo-woo pseudoscience lady, because I respect the academics. This is not quantitative. This is qualitative, not even, because I am sharing with you food for thought. And I'm sharing with you what you can do and can't do. And if you want personal development, you do a one-on-one. If you want Ask Maria for an opinionated, you do that. Okay. And I don't like to do all these presentation things because the point of social media is that I'm letting you discover me. And if you're a smart human being, you're going to go and do your own independent looking into things, not to break down people, which is what I see online, the ones who dismantle people. It's hilarious. They're like teenagers who are just on a high with mean girls. I mean, it's not even funny. When I see Peter Pan's and Wendy's, I'm like, wow, there's a couple more 714 charming. I wonder whose eyes are they pulling the wool over? Oh, wait a minute. They're not pulling the wool over anyone because those recovery people are looking for the bystanders to tell them, you're right. Come on over here. We're a group now. We're all over here doing our best. So that's where you see the groups. And we all can have been groupies. I know I was a groupie, I think is a word. Yes, for some lovely rock band people when I was like 18, 19. So anyways, right now I'm a groupie of love. Can we say that? So polyamory community, by the way, come on over here. And FYI, we'll have some more on the messages that I wanted to share because as I was trying to get to, we don't use words to label those that are part of our oversoul and are expanding. We will intuitively know it. It's uncomfortable, not in a bad way for the divine feminine, but we intuitively also know why it's important for us to have our divine masculines and or divine masculine. Some of people have one, some of people have more. It's because they ground us here and they bring to us what we need to keep on calibrating, but also because we are heard. Okay, so we all know that there's a group of people that we support, they support, and that is called I feel safe and secure because I know that you have my best interest at heart, which means my life, my emotions, my thoughts. So I know you're a spirituality person, that you live beyond the solo self. Even if you're not a spirituality, you can be a scientist person. But what this means is you have a self-empowered attitude. So you know how to be a decent human being. And when you will have built a secure connection, this means that you have friendship and non-conventional friendships. Also for my polyamory, again, you know who these people are. The divine feminine will always intuitively know who she can trust. Doesn't have to be a woman. And who she can go to because of needing support to support the herd. And who cares will support, okay? And that's because they're empowered and they have the knowingness of their worthiness. So nobody replaces anyone. That's something ridiculous. I have a twin. She's a copy of me. No, she's her own unique individual. So when you have a whole sense of self, that's when you're self-empowered and you don't have envy, jealousy, spite. You don't have attachment insecurities. And that also happens because of consistently communicating the importance and the value, the appreciation for each other, which happens in 5D relationships. Come on over, join the grown-ups. We have an inner child, and the inner children of us play like grown-ups, which is way fun because it's functional adult land versus maladaptive child land. When we have Cuscos, like Pachas, we don't lecture, and we know when it's time to say, okay, you know what, Cusco, you're turning into that squirrel. You're going to come in and out every now and then from my life. I'm not going to have, that attitude. So we learn how to let people know which attitude is okay. It's a fun game, by the way. It's not anything except for, nah, this is not going to work. So you have an ultimatum. You can choose if you want to talk to me with this tone or that tone. I will accept any words you want to use. I'm just saying the mannerisms are what I'm looking for. Can you work with me? Because I want to work with you. And that's called yes or no. Okay, so it's always going to be, I love, accept, and respect you for who you are. You're a piece of shit. No, you are. No, I'm an asshole. No, you're an asshole. And we have fun together. Come on over. Have a great day.